same gun head all and them all. And from the time you team up with them, like grenade you're straight on the losing end. My friend, my friend. You must have a nuclear weapon. Just to hold on to your reason. One is on the front telling you to vote. One saying to vote with a bomb at your throat. They're saving all the arms and ammo for me and selling the weed for the enemy. Got to stay away from them ism. All them ism is just schism. From the time you team with one of them ism, the first thing they're talking about is protection. Double tax of people fool your treasury. You got to maintain an efficient army. And too much pressure from the opposition. They could always rent you a whole battalion. And when you get in exism out the way, how much life it costs you could never see. No way, no way, no way. Have to stay away from them ism. All them ism is confusion. You must have a nuclear weapon. Just to hold on to your ism. Rescue mission to help Grenadian. Rescue mission to Afghanistan. Rescue mission go you all over. But no rescue mission to South Africa. Got to stay away from them ism. All them ism is just ism. Remember when Grenada had a ism? But everybody say what's mumbo suppression. The other ism just take up some guns. And they had the whole mongoose back on the run. 4 years later the thing turned back wrong. It's the same mongoose doctrine preaching in town. And Canadians keep suffering evermore. All the taxpayers' money going for war. And more war, and more war. Or to stay away from them ism. All them ism is confusion. You must have a nuclear weapon. Just to hold on to your ism. They say how to keep sports of politics. Every 4 years they boycott an Olympics. And while we arguing about who good and who bad, them gone out in space and exchanging flag. All them ism is just ism. The time is right now more than ever. For man to sit down and write the new order. Your man would respect a man as a man. And not through color and superior weapon. Where he must be equal, righteous and fair. And realize that the earth is for all to share. And to his fellow man always be true. But until that day come here, what I go do, and you too, got to stay away from them ism. You must have a nuclear weapon. Just to hold on to your ism. 1983, my fans beg for a favor. I decide to please them, so I write the soca. Last year they come back with a different story. They said they want something smutty about Gina Dorothy. Now on your fans and all your future depend. So I sit down to write this motto only to please them. But as I take up my pen and my piece of paper and I write out the first words, this is what I remember. And that oil money come and oil money go, and poor people remain on the pavement and ghetto. When Mr. Divider start to divide the bread equally, yes, I'm going and finish the whole damn Calypso about Dorothy. Our jam she, and she jam me. How we back, and we roll back. But once my people keep fighting for equal share the cake, wait, Dorothy, wait. Take up the challenge just to prove to the lot. I decide to show them I, Stalin, could ride a smut. But this Dorothy woman who come down to the island, and we have men with battery when we come out the steel band. Look, I done hire to girl to put on some short thing. Wants to come on stage and show how Dorothy moving. But it's a wrong thing I'm doing. So when I strike up the first note, suppose Jaja punish me with a stroke in my one throat. Because the Ku Klux Klan office still Alabama, and in Brixton, England, my people still under pressure. Anytime I see that South Africans are free, I go in and finish the whole damn Calypso about Dorothy. Our jam she, and she jam me. Oh, we back, and we roll back. But once my people struggling with so much children life at stake, wait, Dorothy, wait. Pass into London, and you're sure to hear it. They just call Calypso music, wrong music. They say all entertainer, so they're using the culture and just to help the people plan a better future. In this world today of nuclear revolution, the Calypso man still singing about rum and woman. So I'm just making sure that when they run in the big mouth, it's the Black Stalin music that they're talking about. Because them politicians still can't form a federation. So much meat in the hole is Caribbean people still suffering. Anytime I see a true Caribbean unity, yes, I'm going and finish the whole damn Calypso about Dorothy. Our jam she, and she jam me. How we back, and we roll back. But once my people keep fighting for equal share the cake, wait, Dorothy, wait. For verse and chorus, it's just too much of lyrics to sit down and write smut in this moment of crisis. My head saying yes, but my heart saying no. And I just follow my heart when it comes to writing Kaiso. Now to all my fans who want smut, I'm very sorry. But my pleasure does always come second to my duty. And my duty is to make sure that my people life happy. And anytime that thing happens, all out we go jam down Dorothy. Because so much of famine in Ethiopia, assassination after going on in India. Anytime we don't have to live with these frightful things around we, yes, I'm going and finish the whole damn Calypso about Dorothy, our jam sheet. jumping. Are we back? And we roll back. But once my people keep fighting with so much children life at stake, wait, Dorothy, wait, Dorothy, wait, man. over and laugh until poor people was living. Now the treasury flat and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto in Georgia. But to get the economy returned today on some footing, it's the same poor people 10 days and cola they're taking. And without social unrest, poor people paying the price. Because they know for the country nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing is dark is sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
Yes, indeed. And a special good night to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique once again. It is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Yeah, let me just bring that back to up there.
Just a little harder. If we just get one more try.
Just having a problem in my headphones tonight. I don't know why. For some reason, I am not hearing on both sides of my headphones. I don't know what's up with it tonight. Yeah.
From the country, we analyze just what was the problem. Yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fire the old session managers we had working.
Yeah, I think my headphone has seen better days.
And we bring in, and in the goods we require them new managers.
We have to do a switch around, yeah.
When the election time come back from it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And on the country face it is dark is sour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, you have one little thing that I want you always remember.
Before I get in trouble with some children, good night to you, Zayla. Good night to you, Zoe. Good night to you, Exalia. Yeah, I'm going early. We should be having a guest joining us tonight. I hope I get the headphones working properly by then. Try and see if switching around headphones would fix the problem.
When the treasury was full and happy time some was enjoying, is it over and laugh until poor people was living. Now the treasury flat and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto in Georgia. But to get the economy returned today on some footing, is the same poor people 10 days and cola they're taking. And without social unrest, poor people paying the price. Because they know for the country nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing is dark is sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
right, well, I haven't fixed the problem, but we've got to go. We can't be sticking. Let's say we have a guest tonight. They are not on no, that's not it. It's just that one side of my headphone is not working, and I tried another headphone. I had the same problem. So that problem is coming from another place on the board. Can you all let me know, though, just by messaging either on the Facebook or the YouTube? Message and let me know if you all are hearing everything properly, though. I want to make sure it's only a problem that is coming through the headphones. I'm monitoring otherwise. I'm seeing okay here. But I just want to make sure that the audio problem that I'm having is only through the headphones. Yeah? So message, let me know.
Our country facing is dark and sour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover,
in the interim, let me say a special good night to you, Agnes, Carl, Jacinta, Faith Lynn, Hallie Douglas, good night to you, Veronica, Kashima, good night, and let me see who else is there. Phyllis, good night, Gemma, Anne-Marie Celestine Grant, Kathleen Ledlow, Miriam Samuel out there in London, Wilfred Antoine, Miriam, just know this starting to get extra cooler, so you know, start organizing, you might get snow, kind of thing, right? Alban Harris, Adrian Watts, Dominic Leroy, Jackie Raymond, Kathleen Knights, Gavin Thomas, Errol Bonaparte, Deborah Laborde, Jerome Lewis, Baby Daddy, let me see, Edmund Calise, right? Good life, good night to you, Jenna Benjamin, Public Notice, Winston Smith, Michelle Alexander, Janice Mitchell, Marion Noel, Sherma Jeremiah, yeah, I know Zoe, I hope Zoe here when I call out just now because I ain't able, Stephanie John, Casimir Thomas Pastor, how are you? Roland Batiste, Matthew Boyne, Clive Raymond, Earl Benjamin, Anna Lewis, Claude Abraham, Raphael BJ, Natalia John Tati, what's up? Marilyn Panchu, Chief Camahon, Alcy Peters, Jacinta Alves, Rita Pierre, Alan Jones, you and Zoe and your wonderful wife, Eliza Bernard, Lydia Isaac, Jakeem Williams, how you doing, bro? Martha B, let me see, Patsy Frank, Henry Shaitan, and let me see what else is there. Jillian George, right, Kathleen is saying that you're hearing clear, right? Okay, so you all are hearing loud and clear. Good, nice. Let me see those of you on Facebook. Glenda Robinson, good night. Veronica Frederick. Wow, why am I only seeing one person there? Dana Romney, Kelly Francis, Lydia Joseph, Ann Joseph, Denise Fabio, Cleaver Williams, Red Girl Pascal, Glennish George, Donna Langdon, Charmaine Thomas, Miriam Hostin Steele, Cousin Levine, good night to you, adorable Lily. Yeah, my good cousin. Augustine Panchu, Peter Lewis, Crystal Theodore. Of course, I know Crystal must respond. Yes, Charmaine Ragbasing, Antonito, Carla Walcott Wallan. Yeah, Francis Louison. Good, right. Okay, so it's good. Nice. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's good on both ends. Emma, good night to you. And Zucklin, right. Rodney Barry, good night. And Langdon. All right, so everybody getting it. Okay. Enid, right. Everybody getting it. Nice, right.
400 years of fighting is a long, long time, I know. But could you pit?
Right, I gain it from Canada, I gain it from local, I gain it from, yes, everybody. Nice. Thank you all so very much.
I said no war.
So I know therefore it's a problem in the board that I'll have to have fixed tomorrow. So we'll sort it out. Don't worry, we'll get the program done tonight. That ain't stopping us. Yeah? Nice.
For us people to be free. No, 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 don't you cry. Brother, don't cry.
I have to call the tech guy to have a look, yeah? Tech guy, I know you're listening, so organize me tomorrow. Nice? Nice. All right. I realize, yeah, some of the happenings in the parliament recently have gone viral. So right now, you're seeing everybody with this thing about sit down and this kind of... No, what has happened there is simply this. What has been happening in the parliament for the past year, the disrespect that has been meted out to the leader of His Majesty's opposition and the opposition members. That disrespect, it has finally escaped the parliament chamber and it's out there. And I don't know what's happening in parliament. All of a sudden, when a member of the opposition is speaking, they no longer have a camera to focus on that individual. So now you're having a wide shot with the individual and is seeing all the members. But when somebody on the government side is speaking, you could focus in on that person. So you only could focus in on one side. What's the situation with that? Yeah? And I'm not saying here that it has been maliciously done, but it is noteworthy that it is happening. And therefore, if it means equipment needs to be adjusted, whatever needs to take place to ensure that when parliamentary sittings are taking place, that in the exact same way that you have the audio and video coming from the government side, the audio and video from the opposition side should be coming over just as clear and just as succinct. Yeah? So if it means that something has to be purchased to do that, yeah, we know with all the kind of thing with $7.5 million to do things that you all don't even know what you're doing yet. 7.5 million. You just said 2 million. Joyce Phillip, good night to you. Yeah. They said 2 million to go and print the new the $50 anniversary bill. All right. Okay. All right. That's we know that is one of the things that they're going to use it for. And they're saying that's a lot of preparation. What preparation? You don't know what you're doing. You have not launched it yet. But yet still, you're saying that you need that volume of money. Basically $5 million just for that aspect of things before the end of the year. Then we start hearing of other payments soon to be made in relation to the Kimpton by Kawana that it's being settled outside of court. Now remember, this gentleman took Grenada to court, and I'll explain that one clear, not today. We're going to have to do a special program speaking about CBI and that kind of thing, and we'll explain what took place there, where the government of the day was looking after the interests of Grenadians. Yeah? Ensuring that at the end of the day, the CBI program here in Grenada maintained its integrity and good name. So that is what was taking place there. And you saw the response to it and all this nonsense that has taken place. And now the government has decided that they're going to settle with the investor outside of court. You've heard that there is part of the money that they're asking for the end of the year seems to be to settle that debt and also to repurchase that property. In other words, the government is going to, they've already reclaimed Radisson. It seems as though they're going to reclaim or claim that property now. And when they seize that property, they obviously have to pay the owners and they have to pay them at market price, according to what the Constitution of Grenada says. They'll have to pay them at market price. So we see that as some of the money that they're looking for before the end of it. It might be a case that Grenada would win and you would not have to pay anything. But instead of doing that, they say they're settling out of court, right? So they're going and settle out of court and pay. All right? In case you all don't know, that's what some of the money that they're taking is for. That is what some of the money that they're taking is for, according to them. All right? But folks, you know what? I'll take a few of your calls until we're ready to bring in the guests for tonight. I have to confirm with them whether they're coming in at 8:30 or they're coming in at 9 because I've been messaging and I know that they're in a function. So I'm just trying to make sure. Let me just send a message there. Yeah, let me just make sure I send a message there so that people know. All right. So 440-7377, 347-329-3101. We're going to take some of your calls before go down the road with our interview and so on, because there's a lot to unpack in that interview. Let me say good night to my good friends at K&R Bookstore. Yeah, that's down when you're looking to go up Scott Street, at the bottom of Scott Street. You see the local place there? Yeah, you all know I don't do advertising, but when it comes to people like that, I have to say, hey, do you see them? They have a sale and thing. People who does help other people are calling them out. So you see K&R Bookstore and thing there? Check them out. Right, yes, K&R, right at the, yeah, where they put in the traffic light right there with the police. Not the top of Scott Street, the bottom of Scott Street. Right? Don't want to come out from by courts and thing, then you're about to go in right on the corner there. That place, yeah, check them out, because I think they are back to school, 50% sale, all kind of thing. Check the ladies and them there, check them out. When people does do good things for people, you have to support them. All right, K&R does support people, so I'm supporting them. Nice. We have a caller. Good night.
Senator Scott, good evening.
How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad, buddy. Something I was listening into the Senate, and one thing I could recommend, the Speaker of the Senate, why we cannot put her in Parliament and move the other one down to the Senate?
I would say this, we're not even sure how long we will have the Speaker, the President of the Senate.
Okay, because she could, she could communicate with the people inside there.
No, she's an intelligent person.
Well, so, because Decima was sent in the revolution as a young girl, I could tell you.
Her name has always been calling, so, I mean, she's a very intelligent person.
Yeah, and she could communicate, man. You understand? And another thing I noticed in the Senate, Senator Scott, what is this thing that every time the opposition asks a question is either 30 or 90 days? What this 30, 90 is about? This I don't understand.
No, let me tell you this. When a question is asked in the House of Parliament, whether the Senate or the upper house, the person who is asked the question has 30 days to respond. If within that 30 days you're unable to respond because it may have taken time to get the information together, you say that. You explain that, look, it's taking a little longer to get that information together, but at the next sitting, we'll be able to present it. But I heard the senator with responsibility for social affairs and so on saying something along the lines of, she has 90 days. There's no 90 days. It's 30 days. Yeah? Even though it's 30 days, though, you don't have to use 30 days. Not because you have 30 days mean you're supposed to use 30 days.
But Dr. Mitchell asked something months ago, and up to now we can get the answer for it.
My friend, Dr. Mitchell posed questions at the end of last year, and up to now those questions have not been answered.
I mean, you're looking so bad for we here in the diaspora. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To looking at our thing, this is our thing, and seeing the same people, with some of them inside of, they say they have experience in Minister of Finance, but you're just showing that. You're showing that they have a little school and they go to class, and whatever the headmaster tell them they have to go over there and say, it's just that they have to say. And it seems to be so wrong. You understand? Everything, you have to give us time. Everything, you have to give us time. It's like the NNP is out of government, but the NNP is still like the NNP running the country still.
But let me explain something to you. There is an attempt by this government to willfully mislead the people of this nation and to keep critical, vital information away from the people of this country. I make no apologies for saying that, and I'll say that in this context. Dr. Mitchell asked in relation to, for instance, the people that were hired and the salaries. He's been asking that question since the end of 2022. He had to ask it again. They've bluntly refused to answer that question. So you have, and I have, maybe an idea, what we've been hearing, that people like the advisors to ministers, and there are quite a few, the advisors to ministers are earning. They could be earning as much as $10,000 to $15,000 a month. We do not know because we are not told. It could even be more than that. We don't know because we are not told. The question was asked about the Ministry of Implementation, Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, and the staffing there, from what I have been hearing from my sources, they have some people that are working for some serious money, into the thousands upon thousands of dollars within that ministry. A list was asked for and all other pertinent information. It has never been given. Dr. Mitchell asked for transportation, to say what was spent in relation to transportation over the past year or so, and why they went and different things. They've given the excuse that that is across all ministries, which is a lie, because government operates on smart stream. That's what they do their finances on. It takes literally just a few minutes with a couple keystrokes, and they can pull all that information together into one format and have it printed and so on and presented. They just are refusing because they're embarrassed that the information there, a lot of Grenadians are going to be upset.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, I know Smart Stream. I mean, come on. There are specific codes in relation to travel in every ministry. So when a minister is traveling, if the ticket is being purchased, even if the ticket is being provided by a foreign agency, there is a section within Smart Stream that you have to enter that it's being paid for by a foreign entity and how much is being paid and so on.
I mean, we give them a chance. They have to do better than that. And now they're getting more arrogant now. You ain't listen to the Parliament, they're getting on more arrogant, man. You hear the Minister of Education, well, to me, he just don't take off his clothes, you know. He just don't take off his clothes, Sheldon. You could see when a person's so guilty. You know, I didn't hide it. I didn't do that. What is it? Man, come on, man. We in Grenada, we're not in this type of parliament setting. Come on. Relax yourself, be calm and cool, with a smile. You understand? Admit. You didn't know, that's why you was calling Canada, all kind of thing, doing what you want to do. You understand what I mean? But don't come to right now in the Senate and start to get on, like, you know, like you want to fight. Who you want to fight? Yourself? Come on, man. Anyhow, Senator Scott, you have a good one, man, and take care of yourself.
Thank you so very much, my brother. All right.
Okay, brother.
Yes, folks, and in case you haven't looked outside, take a moment and look outside, even if it means you have to step away or after the program you want to look outside. And so, beautiful moon outside tonight. Hey, all the crazy people. Beautiful moon outside tonight. All right, yeah. And somebody asked about the hair. Well, you like the hair? Let me think the hair for all you. Yeah. Oh, you like the hair? Nice, yeah. That's Angie. Angela's Beauty Salon up in Bruce Street Mall there. Yeah, that's Angie. Yeah, I go by Angie. Right? If I don't go by Angie, it's up in Grand Mall, let us go, you know. As let us say by them Red Girl and them. Right, Grand Mall, let us go by Alona and them. But I check Angie. Angie set me up real nice. 9 lines is there. Yeah, I check Angie. All right. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. As I see some people asking me the question online about the hair, I have to say, all right. Yeah, so questions are being asked that are not being answered. Or when an answer is provided, they provide the answer in a way to confuse the information that is requested. Yeah, so we had a press secretary. The press secretary has now gone. The contract finished, they gone their way. We were hearing from the time that person was hired, we were hearing that person was being paid somewhere in the range of $10,000 a month. That's what we were hearing. That's the allegation that was out there. The person has now left. The question was asked. That person, nothing up to this day. I don't know if the Prime Minister was paying her out of his pocket, but at the end of the day, we've never been provided with the information in relation to how much that individual and other individuals who are now acting as advisors are being paid. Because it would be interesting to note that we have people that are acting as advisors and still acting as diplomats. So you may have a person who may be as an advisor and earning at $10,000 that way, and then they're acting as a diplomat and they're earning another $15,000 or whatever $1,000 in that position, And then these individuals are still the chairpersons of different board and all kind of thing, chief cook and bottle washer. So they may be earning tens of thousands of dollars on a monthly basis, and we do not know. And while that is happening within the organization, you have many people who work hard to help bring the NDC to where they are right now. And while I am the least of the apostles to speak on their behalf, it has to be said that these people still sit down home waiting on their bread. Many, many, many of them grumbling, bawling with their mouth closed. I was in town today and saw a lot of the parents out there trying their very best to put together what they need to put together for the children for back to school. I saw it up and down, people up and down around town trying to get their back to school together for their children. Yeah? And I applaud the parents who've been able to do it and so, but there are many other people that they could do some, but they can't do all. Yeah? So they may be able to go and get the uniform, but they can't buy the school books. They might be able to get some of the stationery together and so on, but the child has to use the same bag from before and so. Yeah? Because see, right now, the same people that used to say that how NNP doing this and taking picture and all kind of thing, all in Carriacou and thing now I realize they handing out bag and thing with look at children and so on, they making sure they snap when they handing out the bag. The same thing they used to cuss NNP and say anytime NNP handing out somebody something, they taking picture and they showing this and they showing that. They not hide nobody face. They make sure and they show them though. But these are the same people that used to have the worst to say about the new National Party. Yeah? And you see it in many other things. You see it in many, many other things. I mean, I looked at town, and yes, it was a bit busy today. People trying to get the one or two items that they can get and so on. And you know who feeling the pressure? Who feeling the pressure in a lot of instances is the family members overseas. Because that is who are to be, watch, they jam up in MoneyGram and Western Union right now. They jam up inside there. Because they are the ones now that from overseas that have to be sending money to help people here. Yeah, and sometimes they don't even have for themselves, so they have to leave something out there in the US or in Canada or in the UK. They have to leave something undone. They have to do without something. That coat they may need for the winter that's coming up. Yeah, that repair they may have need to do to the home or so on. They have to leave something undone to be able to help family members down here. And I do hope that those down here, those of us that do receive assistance from our relatives overseas, that we do appreciate what they are doing, because sometimes it's not that they're in America and things growing from the tree, or they're in Canada or they're in the UK and things growing from the trees, you know. Yeah, they had to work. And you know, if they miss a day of work, what does happen in the States? It's not like here, you just don't show up a day and thing and they show up the next day or so. No, over there, you don't show up, you ain't getting paid for that day. Yeah? So we need to appreciate what many people have been doing. That's why I've been calling out the names of some of the businesses and so, like Kiana and Angie's and different people that have been helping. Yeah? Let me call out one, Cami. She's a whole business. I don't know if the Cami business have a special name. The White House. That was I think that she Cami, that the business name, the White House. Yeah. Have been helping out. Yeah? Because you have much bigger businesses that ain't helping out, you know. People that can and just not helping out. I have friends in business. Sometimes what I do, when the opportunity comes and when they can, I would reach out to them and say, there's this child that has passed for that school or so and they need some assistance. If you can assist that child and put them in touch with the parents and so. Yeah, so that they can assist. It's like a little assistance, whether it's a uniform, whether it's whatever, and they would help and try to do that. Yeah? So we do try and help when we can. But this government doesn't understand that things like having more debushing programs for longer and involving more gangs and making sure that people like the one in St. Andrew who was going around to them people and telling them that if they don't give him out of the money that they get, they ain't getting no debushing again. that those kind of people stay away from around the program totally. Yeah? That they stay away from those kind of things totally. Because imagine if this man going around, these people getting $400 and something. If you go around to 200 of them and you tell them, give him $40 each, thousands of dollars he going with. So we have to be careful. We have a call online. Good night. Good night, the White House.
How you doing?
Good night to the White House.
Well, the White House, but it's a registered business, eh?
Yeah, that's I seem to remember it as the White House, yeah.
Yes, that registered more than 20 years.
Yeah.
I have a little business. And you know something? I ain't bragging. But a lot of people at the White House have, some of them is doctors, some is lawyers, some is secretaries in the government offices now. I don't have to call the name, but I know them is permanent secretaries. Some of them work in a washer, and that little White House helps multiple of people in Grenada. Some travel until some of the same people Mr. Scott send back. Most of the things you see I have there is people that are help to go to school that send little stuff from Miss Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
So that little White House there as a rock over the years. You understand?
Yeah.
That little White House. A lot of people and that little White House continue helping the Grenadian people. And not like some people go on the radio or the media and say what the White House do for people. But a lot of Grenadians, all young, all age. And you know something? I want to thank the people that donate the books, the exercise and the pencil and the bags. Children, a lot of children is going to go to school for what we have did for them. We don't have to call names. A lot of children, some of the parents, relatives, a lady came yesterday and she told me they was in the garden and she said she and she brother was speaking about us. So we have to give God all the praise. We don't take the credit. Yeah, we don't take the credit.
I ain't taking
God
no credit.
All the praise.
Because the person who donated the
and a lot of them
bags.
are running them out. They ain't do nothing
Kami.
for the Grenadian people and the Grenadian children. And that is the children tomorrow what might give them a cup of water. Continue begging so we could help those who cannot help themselves. Have a good night. I'm going to take this up. I might call back later.
All right,
Anyhow,
but then.
have a good night. Patty and
Patricia
Matthew.
and Matthew.
Good night, Mr. What?
Two lovely people.
Yes, Mr. Scott.
Matthew, I find you give me up, you know. In fact, I know I go do. I will call Matthew over the weekend. I ain't calling Patty,
Yes.
you know. I calling Matthew.
Everybody, good night, home and abroad. Darlington and Sheila, I know by the time you all reach up there, but I see the hurricane, so I don't know what's going on with my family, what we did yesterday.
Oh, yes,
Anyhow,
yeah.
I thank everybody, Miss Teresa in Canada, all these lovely people that come. No matter they you working at it. A lot of people that come and bring exercise and pencil, and I donate everything to the children. And the Grenadian people are very thankful. I will continue. Good night to everybody.
All right, Gabby.
Mr. Scott, have a good night.
Wonderful,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Yes, indeed, 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. I just realized I had the overseas line engaged. I'm sorry if anyone was calling on that line. And it seems as though our guest would be coming on for 9 o'clock instead of 8:30. So we still have some time to take some calls. Yeah, our guest would be coming on at, let me just make sure they haven't signed on yet. Right, no, they're not on yet. Right, so they'll be coming on at 9:30 at 9 instead of 8:30 because I know that they are at another function. All right, 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. I know some of my good friends in the Royal Grenada Police Force, man, they tell me, they say, shall and them men and them hold us again. They tell us we gain something, and then when we go and check and get our salary today, he don't day. He don't day. The little extra that we supposed to get, they say the little extra was not there. Yeah? The little extra was not there. We've got a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Sheldon Scott. How are you tonight?
Hey, I'm quite fine.
Okay, how everything going?
Everything going okay for the time being, you know.
Okay, brother.
Yeah.
My contribution tonight is very important for me. I'm not hearing ministers on the NDC side. Though hearing about Mr. Joseph Andal, a couple of them. Well, I'm not hearing about them. With these people and them, election, it was all over the place. No, I don't hear nothing about them. What they're doing, where they, what they're thinking, who they're coming to. I mean, anything good for the country, I will support it. But I don't find them guys have any plans at this moment. No plans at all. Absolutely none. They just talk, get up in the morning, and they go and they talk. I don't find or seeing it on the ground. I don't see nothing on the ground happening. Nothing. No construction work is going on like concrete work, like drains. No roads doing. I don't see nothing happening. Nothing at all, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell you this, brother. They have said that construction is one of things driving the growth in the economy right now. The growth that they're saying is there. Now, the thing is this. The construction that's taking place now, the major construction is the facility that's being built in St. Patrick and those in St. David, which means that dates back from the new National Party.
Well,
what new have they done to boost the economy of Grenada? What have they done?
I haven't seen them do anything because what they did, they follow back on NMP projects. And I call that NMP project. It's just complete by them, but it's NMP project. So where they are project, where the new start for them to say, well, okay, NDC did that 2023, and I give them praise for that. But I haven't seen anything. The pension have been paid out. The pension was paid out. That money was inside already. So it's not they go and get it. It was there already. And they have to understand that. No, I went by the teller machine today and I didn't get no money. I heard you have people complaining they don't get money yet. I heard it from teachers and I heard it from policemen.
Yeah, I saw quite a few officers. I know some officers have been paid because they did inform me that due to the agreement that was signed recently, they were supposed to receive something and they didn't get something that they're supposed to receive.
Let me explain something. I would love to see that Grenada, everybody get a wages on their salary. I would love to see that because cost of living is very high. But come on, if I have a business place and I have 20 people working in my business place and I have to give everybody a raise of salary, and what I'm making back for myself, which I have to cut down on the workforce, and the workforce will be smaller. So it's better the people keep the salary they're working for and they employ more, at that you go home and you don't employ. Because once you go higher with the salary, your people are telling you, watch, I cannot pay that, I could keep 10, and then you go, the next 10 go home without a job. What's happening to
MNMIB?
Yeah, I don't hear nothing about that.
Well, my friend, we await to hear because in the what you call it again? The subsidiary? No, the what was brought to Parliament last week, Friday. The word is just slipping me right now. But what was brought to Parliament last Friday, I cannot remember. Maybe somebody else who has had a look at it. I cannot remember anything in there as relates to the Marketing and National Importing Board and reopening of the Marketing and National Importing Board. Okay. I cannot remember, maybe I'm wrong, but I cannot remember seeing any funds there put aside for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm left to wonder if indeed that is something that will take place before the end of the year, if at all.
I mean, I don't want no problem, but something I want to really ask, but I'm so ashamed to ask, I'm so afraid. This guy got shot. This NMP guy gets shot in Carriacou. I don't have any information about that again. I don't hear nothing about that. The guy what died on the beach, I don't hear nothing about it. So I don't know where we're going forward, and we have to keep our surroundings clean and keep it safe with the crimes and so on. But I haven't heard anything. And it's important.
Yes, I believe so as well.
Yeah, it's important when someone do the crime, they pay the price. You know.
My friend, I am about to make contact with the Honorable Emlin Pierre. So I'll have to end our conversation as wonderful and as insightful as our conversation has been.
Okay, that's
And I'd
okay.
like to
So,
encourage you to
okay,
please
you have a
call
nice night.
again. All right. Thank you very
Okay,
much,
no
my
problem.
brother.
No problem. Okay.
All right, folks, I'm having a little problem in connecting with Honorable Emlin Pierre, so I'm going to have to do a direct call, which means that those of you that were about to call us, please hold off on the call on to the end. All right, so please hold off. Yes, supplementary. Thank you so very much, my brothers and sisters. Supplementary. Yeah, there was no provision, and someone, yeah, my good friend just confirmed it for me. There was nothing for the Marketing and National Importing Board there, but government said they reopen next month. But they made no financial input. They didn't put anything aside. They didn't say, well, okay, we reopen the Marketing and National Importing Board, so we need $1 million or we need $3 million so that we don't have to end up owing farmers and so on and so on. And this is the approach that we're taking. They did say by mid-September, in other words, in roughly 2 weeks, Marketing Board was supposed to be reopening as a new entity. But there was nothing in that supplementary in relation to the Marketing and National, whatever name they want to call it, if they want to call it that still, or whatever new entity. I went through. I can't remember seeing anything, and a good friend of mine who I know is very au fait with that sort of thing just confirmed that there was nothing there in relation to that. So, folks, give me a short while I give a call to the Honorable Emlin Pierre. So, hold one moment.
400 years of fighting is a long, long time, I know. But could you picture yourself fighting for 400 more? I said no war is a good one. Words of wisdom, I'll agree. But if fighting is the only way for us people to be free, no, 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 don't you cry. Brother, don't cry. Don't you cry. Brother, don't cry. 'Cause there's a battle to be won, and we've only begun. So don't you cry. Brother, don't cry. Don't you cry. Brother, don't cry. Don't you cry, brother, don't cry. 'Cause there's a battle to be won, and we've only begun. No, 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 don't you cry, brother, don't cry. Nurture your wound and keep on fighting. I said keep on fighting.
Yeah, folks, the problem is not on my end tonight. Yeah, I think it's where my good friend is. So just try waiting for that call to come through. Once they get themselves in a location that they can make a call.
Past is just a stepping stone. Don't you cry. I say, don't you cry. Don't you cry. Brother, don't you cry. Don't you cry. Brother, don't.
Oh, the network is giving some issues in that area.
Don't you know? Don't you cry. Dry your eyes. Dry your eyes. Wipe your tears. Wipe your fears.
Yeah, you know what the technology tries to do from time to time. Yeah.
I said, don't you cry. Don't you treat me like no puppet on a string, making me feel you can make me do anything. No, no. No, no. Don't free my hands and leave my mind in chains. Don't say I'm free and you still washing my
Yeah, I'm trying a workaround because I think it's important that we get Honorable Emlin Pierre on. Several things have been said, and I know she'll be able to give us some clarity in relation to several of those issues.
Oh, yeah. All right. Na, 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 na. You give me work and
Meanwhile, as I'm waiting for that call, yes, I did speak to some police officers today, and they were saying that they had an issue with the, yeah, they didn't get they no, they're supposed to get, let me see, duty allowance in some instances, and some of them would have to receive that. Right, no, I think let me make sure here. No, nice, and let me see here, and good, perfect. All right. Yes, I think I have the call here. Yes. Come on, WhatsApp, behave yourself. Hello, good night. Hello.
Good night. Good night.
Perfecto. We're hearing you perfectly. All right. Good night to you, Honorable Emlin Pierre.
Good night to you. Good night to all your listeners, and I hope all is well.
Yes, indeed. Well as can be, we have issues. We do have issues. Honorable Emlin Pierre, how have you been doing? What have you been up to since the last time we had a conversation?
Well, I always say this, and I think you know me well enough. I always say, if God is good, I'm good too. Yeah.
So you're always good.
I'm always good. I'm always good. Yes, because God is good. Yeah. So the key thing, and I probably would want to just highlight this. As you know, back to school, I've always used the opportunity to encourage our students as they prepare. So if you ask me what I've been up to, I would probably start with the most recent to say we have been doing that. I've been to most of the villages thus far, meeting with students, encouraging them. Sometime last term, we were supposed, before the end of the school year, we were supposed to launch a program in the constituency involving students. And I believe most people know I have a passion for emotional intelligence. And so that program, towards the end of the school year, we did not get to launch it. So we actually launched it during the summer vacation. So we just actually wrapped up a number of different engagements. So we sort of merged both into one. And so it's been traveling through the different villages and the different communities with students. Some parents turned out as well, you know, so that has had me busy for the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay. I don't know, the audio started to crackle a little bit there. So I hope you don't move from the area that we get in here properly now.
Okay, let me try to stay still.
Yeah. So so we have well, another policeman just sent it to me again in relation to them not receiving what was, well, I'll get to that one in a while. Now, Honorable Emlin Pierre, we've heard several statements being made by the Minister of Education within the Parliament sitting. Your response to some of that? I don't want to get on the most topical one. Well, let me start with the most topical one. The issue of the LGBTQ in schools. And he is trying to say now that this was something from since 20, well, we know the usual thing. Blame the NNP. So since 2018 and so, but we never heard teachers complaining. We never heard anybody else saying that the NNP was trying to institute that. We never heard any children coming home and saying, Mommy or Daddy, look, this is what they did in school. What say you in relation to his statements on that one? And especially trying to blame the NNP, like it was the NNP that was saying that that is what's being done.
You know, it's a sign. It's a sign when people attempt to defend themselves by blaming other people. That's a sign. And it's a red flag. It's a danger sign. You don't explain your situation by trying to blame somebody. You don't defend yourself by trying to blame somebody. When you're in government, you take responsibility for what is before you. You address what is before you, and you do so in the best way you can. So the attack that I see, and I have to call it that, the attack that I see on Grenadians who are genuinely concerned. And you don't just see it on this issue. That seems to be the modus operandi of this administration. That whenever they're in a particular situation where people are concerned and genuinely expressing very strong concern, the response is A, to blame the previous administration. The response is B, to attack people and make them feel that they don't have the right to express themselves. And I've always been saying that it appears that freedom of speech and expressing oneself is only for a certain time when a certain administration is in office. And that should not be the case. A Grenadian, whoever that person is, should feel that they have a right to express themselves openly so, respectfully so, expressing their concern at any time, regardless of the administration that is in office. And so I actually listened one member of the cabinet, one minister of the cabinet, and I thought, this is really unfortunate, the response that was given. Number one, the New National Party was the center of the attack, claiming that the New National Party is going about spreading rumors and making certain statements about this issue, and referred to a post that the New National Party made on the subject. Indeed, the New National Party made a post on the subject on Facebook. But what was the message of the post? What was the content of the post? The content of the post was asking for clarity, asking for information, asking for explanation. So I cannot understand at what point in our history that became a problem, right? Now, let me just say this. This issue being discussed throughout Grenada and in the diaspora, and maybe among persons who are not even Grenadians, started because the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers, who most people, based on statements that he has made publicly, conclude that he might be very supportive of the current administration. And note, I'm choosing my words.
Mm-hmm.
Based on comments he has made publicly, many people conclude that he is supportive of the current administration. I don't want to be conclusive on that subject. I would leave that for the people to have their own conclusion. Now, when someone like that, who is not known in any way, any shape or fashion to be associated with the New National Party, would on public television, public audience listening, make statement expressing concern on that issue, I would think that the most responsible thing that any administration would do, particularly the one in office now, would be to allay the fears of teachers, would be to give an explanation, and to state a policy position. And the latter, to me, is the most critical and important, because I am yet to hear a policy position on this particular issue. Just saying that there is no plan to introduce this or to do that in September, to me, falls short of a proper policy position. I've also heard that on this subject matter, and I'm speaking after someone who has been described as a journalist in this country who has interviewed the Prime Minister and other ministers previously. I don't want to assume at all that she's going to lie on the minister. She reportedly said that the minister indicated that the decision of the government on this subject matter will be whatever the majority of Grenadian wants. And this is a bit frightening, because it brings me to now question, how would you determine the majority? And how would you determine what the majority wants, right? So there's so much that is happening that raises red flags that I would think that you would humbly come forward and try to provide an opportunity where people can ask questions, people can get updates, people can get clarification, whatever needs to be done. But the response should not be, in my humble opinion, a response where you come and attack people and imply that they have some other agenda. As a matter of fact, the people believe that there is another agenda. And let me explain some of what I've picked up. Even on the ground in my constituency, going around, you listen to ordinary Grenadians and their views on this subject. I'm saying the response of the government is a bad one. You don't respond by attacking people who have genuine concerns and questions. So there are persons who have raised the subject of a company that has recently been given exemptions, special exemptions to set up in Grenada. And one person brought it to my attention, and then I've been picking that up also. As a matter of fact, I went and
Hello?
the website of that.
No, for a moment there you broke off, but yeah, go ahead. You're okay now.
Okay, are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, we're hearing you now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So I'm making the point to say that in a situation like that, and I've seen persons call for what the previous administration did. When there's an issue, you call a press conference. You come to the people, you allow the people to ask you questions, and you make sure that they understand what you're trying to explain. So I'm saying that persons are raising concerns of a number of things. I've heard on one program, and I've verified with one person on this particular subject, that students, children, participated recently in a survey where they were asked certain questions about their sexual orientation, certain questions that could have been considered very unusual, questions you don't really normally ask a child, right? And some of these persons reported that the children were advised not to discuss interview with their parents. Now, I am saying you cannot blame people for stretching their mind when these things are being said publicly, when someone would actually report what was asked of their daughter or their son in the midst of all this. And what I'm addressing is the dismissive attitude that I've seen. The second thing, and I was making reference to another issue that was raised publicly, that of a company that has given special concession exemptions back, and the persons have noted that on the website of that company, it says that they work with LGBT communities, right? Now, people are stretching their minds, they are asking questions. All of this happening at the same time, simultaneously. So, if people are concerned, what you do is come to explain to them, this is what has happened, this is what is happening. But there are two things, as I said. One, the policy position. What is the policy position, official policy position of the government on this matter? And the second thing is, what are the systems and structures that are going to be in place to safeguard the infiltration of those said things that people are concerned about in our system, in our curriculum, in our programs. And let me explain this. The minister was extremely correct when he spoke about what is happening regionally and internationally. What we have to do locally is to make sure that we put systems in place to protect the same values that were spoken about. Let me just give an example. And he's also very right when he says guidelines are what they are. Now, if you don't attend a ministerial session, for example, that's taking place tomorrow, and there's a guideline that's coming out that is international, whether you're there or not, the guideline is going to come out anyway. And as he said, those guidelines were printed, or they came out in, I believe, 2009. Right? The previous administration was during that time, if you recall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is important is not who was in office. I don't even really care who was in office at that time in 2009, quite honestly. What I'm concerned about really is the policy position and the system that we are going to put in. So talking about what came out in 2009, what came out in 2018, those things are insignificant in my humble opinion, right? Guidelines are what they are, and he explained that they are guidelines, and they are out there for the entire world to be guided. Now you have to decide what you're guided by. You have to take a position, what you're going to allow to guide you. You're going to take a position of what you use and what you don't use locally. I remember very clearly in 2018, I called a special meeting, and someone would have asked me for an interview on this recently, and I did share.
Mm-hmm.
A special meeting was convened. Invitees from the Grenada Conference of Churches, invitees from the Grenada Alliance of Evangelical Churches, and other ministers of religion who I know personally feels very strongly of this subject. I invited them to a meeting at my office. Coming out of that meeting, the consensus and the agreement was that we are going to develop a values-based program to support the HFLE program locally. And that was precisely what the objective was, to ensure that we protect our values, that we ensure that there's no infiltration that at the end of the day is left to individuals' interpretation. And that is where you want to be very concerned. So the document was developed. As a matter of fact, I'm juggling my brain now, and I remember very clearly Pastor Devon Roche chaired that committee, I believe. People like Charles Barnaby, who are very, very, very passionate about values-based education, and a number of other individuals participated in a working committee for several months and came with a values-based program for Grenada. After that program was adopted and approved by the Ministry of Education, we went one step further. And one of the members of the committee was actually hired by the Ministry of Education to serve as a lead as it relates to the implementation of values-based education in schools. And that person was Pastor Devon Roche. One of the responsibilities was also to support the HFLE curriculum. And that is critical. And not just to support the program. Who is leading the program? I remember we were in the process of hiring a curriculum officer. And you know, one of the factors that were considered in light of all of these issues, globally and regionally, was that that person must have the spiritual and moral values that you can feel comfortable that that person will lead this process forward, and that our values are not compromised in the process, right? So that was included as a factor in the selection process. I'm saying, and I'm reiterating tonight, the approach of attacking people as spreading rumors, the approach of attacking persons that they should not express their concern, that approach is wrong. And what needs to happen is a conversation where an assurance is given, not in passing, an assurance is given where the system is explained, the processes are explained so that people feel comfortable. You know how many parents are concerned about their children going back to school next week? They may not be NNP parents alone. These are people who have been hearing so many things. And as I said before, they didn't first hear it from NNP. They heard it from the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers and a bishop, a spiritual leader in Grenada. That's who they heard it from. The NNP was nowhere there. It was weeks after, when nothing was said by the administration, where people, obviously something like that is reported, people are going to take it and run with it because they're not hearing another side of the story. They could only run with what they hear. So how do you blame them? Almost 3 weeks after, a response came. So quite obviously, many people might not have even heard the response. And so to come and attack people for expressing their concern, I believe this is really unfair, because I don't think that it is unfair for any parent to say that they are concerned about what they are hearing. Any parent who is not concerned, I would be concerned about them parenting.
Of course.
And so the policy, the system, the structure, the personnel, one of the policy decisions we took, and we were going to be implementing that as part of the whole values-based program, was that people, for example, math, science, you have specialized teachers. So you have teachers who are trained to teach those subjects, teachers who are qualified to teach those subjects. You know what was a policy position taken? That persons who teach HFLE should be specialized also. In other words, HFLE teachers should be models of what they teach. Health and family life education.
Mm-hmm.
And so the decision was that we were going to move towards specializing. And indeed, I taught before, and it's very different maybe now, but I know of a period where some people were very uncomfortable even speaking or teaching about some parts of the body, right? And there are people who are very comfortable doing so, right? But not just the content and the delivery of the content, but what is your belief? What is your value system? If you're going to be teaching this, what are you going to be saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things is what we want to hear. All of those things. Listen, I've said it before, Sheldon, and I think you know me well enough to do. I don't criticize for criticizing's sake. And I don't play politics with certain things. Right? Fundamentally important things like that has to do with people's lives and their future. This is not about politics. This is not about politics. So to come and give a response that is political, I think is very unfair. It's a disrespect, in my opinion, to people who care about their children and people who care about the future of this country.
What I would say there is, when I heard the response, while in the back of my mind, I may have held out hope that, this thing, there's no truth to it, forget that. Let's hear what the minister has to say. After I heard him and the way that he went about it, now I am even more concerned. And it has raised more red flags in my mind. Well, I don't know if it's to say red flags or rainbow-colored flags, but it has raised more flags for me that something is amiss. His response has caused that in my mind. I now am more concerned than ever that something is amiss. That attempt at distraction and deflection.
And there's absolutely no need for that. Because the response can simply be, we've heard you're wrong. And this is what we have decided as a policy that is going to guide the way forward. this is what we are going to put in place to make sure that you are comfortable, that your concerns are not valid. This is what we are going to do to ensure that we do not have any slipping through the system of anything that we ourselves don't support.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know what is the policy position of the government on this matter. Not just that, oh, we're not going to be introducing this in September, or this is a lie, this is a rumor. People just like, that's in my opinion. That's just my opinion here now. That's not the response that people are expecting. That's not the response that people are expecting.
Let's I want to move on to another area. I did see the minister speaking about, and somewhere in the back of my mind, it sparked something again. The back of my mind been very busy. The front overloaded, so the back of my mind been very busy. The minister was speaking about the introduction of Grenadian history in schools. But somehow, I seem to remember that process having started before June 23rd, 2022. What have you to say about that? Also about where they're starting Spanish classes at the primary school levels, which is something I know was happening before. What do you say about those two issues?
I always say our normally says a lot, right? Because to present this as if it's something that just started after June 23rd, 2023, I mean, it says something. That's all I'm going to say. It really says something. It says something. Sheldon, if you know, I'm quite sure many other persons know that. This process started quite some time before this new administration took office. And if you don't believe me, then just speak to the curriculum officer for history. Speak to the author of the book herself, who met with us in my office, myself and permanent secretary, and was working along with the curriculum officer on the process involved.
But you're just saying that now, but the impression we've been given by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Minister of Education is that the lady was approached after they came into office and wrote the book in record time. In fact, I think I actually heard that on one thing, that the book was written in record time to meet the demand of the present administration to start local history in schools.
Well, I would not sit here and say the Prime Minister lied. What I would say to you is that the truth is that when this lady came, this dear lady, Dr. Dow, came to see me, got the endorsement of the Ministry of Education that we were going to move forward with this, when she engaged and when there was discussion with the publisher and all of those things, now, we were also talking about how do we get the book in e-form? Because we said to her, the direction we were moving as it relates to ebooks, we would love for her to get the publishers to agree that they would make the book available in e-form. So I always say, don't take my word for it. You can speak to the permanent secretary, Kevin Andel, who was the person having most of the dialogue on that particular subject, in addition to the curriculum officer for history. And, people like the publishers and all of that who were in the back and forth on that matter. As a matter of fact, we had an initiative in partnership with CXC to promote the teaching of history in secondary schools, right? Partnering with publishers to look at the book for the lower secondary school level. So we even hired a curriculum officer that, as I said, was working closely with the individual in question. And I can give you a guarantee that this process did not start after the last election. Now, I don't know that we want to go arguing out there who started first, who started second, to me, that's little children. And it's same. No, that's little children. I do that first. I start. That, I mean, maybe little children don't even get that way anymore.
But we're just stating facts here. We just want people to understand we're stating facts.
All that's there to say on this subject is that we came in, there was a process that started, and we completed it. 3 chairs. I would support, and I've done that, and I'm sure you've heard me over and over, commend this government for anything that was started under the previous administration that they continued.
Of course.
And when there was something started that did not continue, and I don't know where it's at, I'm not hearing anything, I raised it like I did with the Grenada SDA school. Sorry, not GCA, Grenada Christian Academy. When we left office, we were wrapping up that process as it relates to the start of the construction of a new school in a new location, very important for the people of St. Andrew. And we had come to a point that I am still baffled as to why the construction has not started after 1 year. So, of course, things like that are concerned.
Let me ask though, have you seen a budgetary allocation under either the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Works or even MIT or whatever? Have you seen an allocation for the construction of that school, or has the allocation disappeared? You can remember seeing anything there? I'll have to go back to the document because I need to check now.
Right, and those funds would actually be under funding from the Caribbean Development Bank.
Oh,
right?
Oh goodness, we know what happens there.
Those funds were approved prior to the administration taking office. As I said, it went through years of preparation and processes and delays, yes. And we came to the point, joyfully so, celebratory so, for teachers and students. Former principal, I know she was very passionate about this project. And when we got to the stage where we were moving towards selecting a contractor for the construction of that school, of course, that's the final stage. And so, as I said, I have not heard anything during the year. And again, I would have thought I would get some update. This is the problem. That is the problem. This is when the new date of construction is going to be. Things like that. So I may have given credit for things that started, that continued. I'm not going to run around and say, well, we started it first and you started it second, or you continued it second. My concern is that it is done. And if it's being done, credit, right? When it's not being done, of course, we have to raise concerns. And that's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course. And Minister, another one that has been very topical, and I've heard your presentation in Parliament circulating in relation to that particular issue, is the issue of free, well, now it's being spelled out that it's free tuition. And initially, I did on this program spell out to a lot of people that it was just tuition. And I don't think some people caught on to what we were saying. But it is free tuition that they are offering through these institutions. What was the New National Party doing different to that? And how does it match up against what the National Democratic Congress government is doing now? The New National Parties, how it dealt with students at the TAMCC and at the NULO, and what is taking place now? How does it match up?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I would start by saying anything that is done by this administration or any other administration where a student or any other person who deserve it would benefit, I support 100%. So I want to make that my preamble. So I totally, absolutely support that the government is going to be paying the tuition for anybody who wants to go to TAMCC or to NULO. Now, that being said, one of the things that concerns me is the different messages that we're hearing as to what the government is doing. So I've heard government ministers saying, education is now going to be free. And you can now go to TAMCC and you can now go to NULO. And this new administration is transforming education. This was never done before. Then you hear another one say, we are going to be providing tuition support to students, and that's transformation. Now, these different messages leave me confused. I'm further confused having read the document, the supplementary budget document, that spoke about categories of students. And when you speak about categories, right, and I think it specified 2 categories of students, then that tells me that you're not speaking about every student who is eligible. So I am further confused now because the messaging is so very different. I don't want to cast any aspersion here as to what is the motive of the people giving different messages. So do you want us to believe that anybody who wants to go to TAMCC can just walk in and access education at TAMCC? Do you want us to believe that anybody who wants to go to NULO can just go when you say it's free, education is free, right? So I'm happy that the minister has clarified at the last sitting, because I did raise my concern about the different messages from different members of the government. So he clarified to say that they are not paying the full cost of attending NULO or TAMCC. What they are paying is the tuition. And then he refers to that as being transformational. Now, my understanding of that would be when there's a major change, right? So what is the change? As far back as I recall, the former administration paid tuition for students going to TAMCC and to NULO. The difference now is that this administration is saying whether you could afford it or you cannot afford it, we're paying for everybody. So if you're a millionaire, you're a billionaire, whatever, whoever you are, we're paying for everybody. Well, I am not going to criticize this, because if the government is in a position where they have so much resources, whether it be from the millions more that they are raising from CI or other sources, I don't know, right? And you have the resources and you could afford to do all these things, then I don't have an objection. But it leaves me a little bit baffled, because you don't have money to continue the 150 for the senior citizen, the blind, the disabled. You don't have enough money to continue paying them the 150 per month, but you have enough money to pay tuition for anybody who wants to go to TAMCC, whether they have or they don't have. That's probably a policy position. So that is really the only thing that is different. But I want to show you something else that is different under the new National Party administration. And I have to now conclude that this was really transformative. It was really transformational, because if this is transformational, then I have to now go back and say, wow, we've been transforming for quite a while. Because people who are not able to pay their tuition, hundreds of students got their tuition paid under the previous administration for many years. But not just their tuition. There are students who can have their tuition paid under this current program and still won't be able to go to TAMCC, still would not be able to go to NULO, because there is much more than just tuition. And I believe you may have heard me in the Parliament make a genuine call. And again, what's the response? Now, I make a simple call to say, students who could not afford beyond tuition, we supported them. with all the other fees that they had to pay, their transportation. And I said, I believe the government, based on its current spending, based on its priorities, I believe the government has sufficient resources that they can afford to continue what the previous administration was doing. And what is the response? Well, why they didn't do that all the years they've been there? And again, this is what confuses me. the responses, right? So let us use a practical example. A student who is going to NULO, who really wants to do plumbing, that student would have to pay an admission fee of $265. That student tuition is $750. So let me go back to the admission fee. The parent would have to pay the $265. The government is paying the tuition of $750. The parent would also have to pay the CVQ level 2 fee of $450. The parent would have to buy the tools for $650. The parent would also have to pay any other additional cost, which includes uniform, transportation, and every other thing that students would be expected to pay during that period. So this is what is going to be for 1 year. The government would pay $810 approximately, and the parent would pay $1,305. Well, in case someone does not know this, let me just say it. There are many people in Grenada that if they get the $810 paid, they still cannot come up with the $1,305. And that's just the reality of the situation. And all I was trying to say is be mindful as you pay for those who could afford to pay. Just try to remember that there are those who will not be able to afford the $1,305 in this example. And could you come up with a way to help them? Because if you're going to pay for those who could afford it, it must mean that you have the resources. So I'm saying, fine, pay for who could afford it, but consider those who will not be able to come up with the difference of the total cost. No, I can't see what's wrong about that. That is all that I'm saying. It is good to pay the tuition, but the tuition alone will not get many people to go. So
Because
let me just give some
I've seen. Go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know of young men that we took from the blocks and they went to NULO, second chance, right? They came out successful. You think if they had to come up with that $1,305, they would have ever graduated with a certificate? No, it's because we recognize they have the will, they want to go. If they had it, they would have come up with it, but they don't have it. And so we had a responsibility and obligation, I believe, to help these people to get a second chance. And that is what we did. But let me also make another fundamental point, because it definitely confirms that transformation has been happening for a very, very long time. Because under the previous administration, a policy position, a decision was taken that based on the challenges that NULO was having, and I'm using NULO as an example here, based on the challenges that NULO was having, that we were going to increase the government subvention to NULO from $50,000 to $75,000, right? So that increase was done. But we went a step further because we realized that more people wanted an opportunity to upgrade themselves, but not only because they wanted it, recognizing that we have a responsibility to make education accessible to those who cannot afford. This is what was done. A project, a project in partnership with NULO, even after we added $25,000 more. And I want to give some credit here, former minister that has had responsibility for skills.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a bit there. No, I'm not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead now. It seems to clear from now. You're using a Bluetooth device?
No.
Oh, I'm not
it
sure.
Probably is the internet connection where I am at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's probably the internet connection, but we are getting what you're saying. Go right ahead.
So I was making the point that in addition to that additional $25,000 to NULO, added to the $50,000 that we were already providing to them as support in the Ministry of Education, the government approved and provided almost $1 million, over $800,000, to allow students throughout Grenada who could not afford to go there. And that is in addition to the regular students that government was funding to go to NULO. This was a special program that anybody could have accessed. Whether you walk off the street or you're unemployed, you have 2 children already and you want another chance to further your education, those opportunities were provided. So to make it seem as if we're introducing tuition for everybody, and that by itself is transformational, I don't ever remember a student coming to see me wanting support as parliamentary representative to go to NULO, and we would have turned them down. The government made resources available to support students. As a matter of fact, many of them, and NULO could confirm that, many of them got in before government was even able to finalize payments. Why? Because some of them came on the 99th minute, and you have to call Sister Margaret, oh, she's an angel. You have to call and say, well, this student and that student really want to get in. The process of getting the payments approved and forwarded to you, could you allow that student to start? So many of them, right? And all I'm saying is that the previous administration paid far more than just tuition in the past. And I'm saying let us continue that for the people who need it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I was wondering, for instance, you paid tuition for a student, but let's say that student lives in St. Patrick. Excuse me. That student then has to come down to Grenville, and from Grenville they have to find their way down to Tantine. And if they're lucky, they pass on the East Coast and they drop directly in Tantine. But it still means they have to find a couple $100 every month in relation to transportation and so on. And was there a program within TAMCC to assist students who found themselves in those sort of situations?
Both in TAMCC, the Needy Assistance Program, students were assisted with transportation at all levels as far as possible. So there were students who benefited and this is outside of the SEED program here, right? Additional students. So you didn't get through yet with the SEED program to get the transportation and other support. There was a facility through the Needy Assistance Program where we assisted these people from primary school all the way up to SGU. So even beyond TAMCC. And all we say, it appears that the government financial resources is in a state where it could afford it.
Seems infinite.
Just pay for everybody, right? Just pay for everybody. And we saying, as you pay for everybody, no problem. Remember that there are many persons who would need more to make it possible. Consider them. And this is why we were very careful. We were very careful with that policy. Because if you as a parent could afford, and you've clearly indicated that you, no problem, you could afford to pay for your own child to go to TAMCC, then our policy position, okay, we don't need to pay for you. So those resources can go towards somebody who genuinely cannot come up with the rest of it. And if they don't have the rest, they would not be able to go. That was the thinking behind this, right? So to say it's transformational to just pay for everybody to have tuition costs covered, I would say it needs a little more, in my opinion, to be considered truly transformational.
Yes, indeed. And folks, we're speaking to the Honorable Emlin Pierre, the Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South East, and also former Minister of Education, former Minister of Youth, former Minister of Information, I think as well. So former minister in various capacities, and just shedding some light on this particular issue. And again, Minister and several persons have been commenting on that, your tone in relation to this issue. You're not there saying that they shouldn't do also, but you're making recommendations of how to improve what is being done. And they would like to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. And now, I just wake up one morning and walk into the House of Parliament. Neither did my colleague just get up one day and say, okay, I'm just going to go sit inside there. No, people elected us to represent them. We actually got majority votes of confidence from people, and they wanted us to go there to represent their views and to seek their interests. So to make it seem like every time we talk, we don't have a right to do so, and we should just sit down and shut up and watch what's happening, then this would be abdicating our responsibilities as parliamentary representatives. So, as I said before, and I'm going to repeat it again, if something is happening that is good for the people, that is beneficial for the people, you will not hear Emlin Pierre criticizing it.
Of course.
Of course. It falls short. And I believe, as in this case, that you have the resources to do more based on what you've done before. When I look at your travel budget, the first half of your first year, you spend $500,000 traveling. And I'll say, of course, I believe you could have been more efficient in that regard, and maybe some more could be done for those persons who need genuinely the assistance. But you know what the response is going to be? Oh, well, you waste money and other things too. That's going to be the response. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the response. Rather than looking at the message, the advice, the recommendation, I guess the thinking is, who is you to give an advice? Who is you guys to recommend anything? And unfortunately, Grenada would not benefit as it should, because the collective views of both sides is what's going to help us to advance. I strongly believe that the collective views of both sides of the house is what is going to cause us to advance.
I'm going to ask you my final question for you tonight, because I know you're running close to an hour and I know how it goes. The supplemental allocation that was put forward, your views in relation to it, there were some concerns raised by the opposition in relation to the supplementary that was presented. Your views in relation to that?
Right. So again, the response of the government is what concerns me on this, the attitude. We went to the Finance Committee meeting. We discussed the documents. We asked questions. There was no point going if you're just going to sit down there and look at the people talking. So we went there, we reviewed the document, we met before, we discussed the document, we asked questions, we asked for explanation. Because what you're doing is you come in and ask us to approve something. And to approve it, we are saying we would need more clarification. And let me just use a practical example. The government says that it is going to spend $7 million to celebrate independence. No, as a matter of fact, by the time we were out of there, you know what one minister posted on their Facebook page? It was like saying, I'm not saying the exact words, but it was like saying, look out, they're going to attack the budget for the upcoming independence celebration. And I thought, really? We are not attacking the budget for independence. We are being responsible by asking you, could you please clarify and explain what you want us to support? We are prepared and ready to support if we understand what you want to do, if you justify what you want to do. So any person, you don't have to be a parliamentarian, any person who hears $7 million for independence celebration, their ears is going to pop open. Their eyes would pop open. Because you're going to find that that figure sounds a bit outrageous. So
and especially since it's to be spent between September and December, because the allocation is for January 1st to December 31st, as they repeated several times. January 1st to December 31st, they have to make another allocation for January 1st to the rest of 2024. So they've got to spend $7 million for the next 4 months.
I'm not even going to go all there. You're absolutely right, but I'm not even going to go all there. I'm going to start with the fact that you said you cannot afford to continue paying the elderly the $150. You cannot afford this. You cannot afford that. No, I would think you'll be a bit reserved in what you spend on a celebration. So I would start there, right? But we were still responsible. We were still accommodating to say, could you explain to us what the 7, because maybe when you explain, we'll say, okay, sure, that sounds fine. So we simply ask for an explanation of what the $7 million was going to be spent for. Imagine you're asking us to support this and you come with nothing on paper that explains how this is going to be spent. So the response that we received was, it's a year-long celebration. That's the response. It's a year-long celebration. And there are a number of things that we're going to be doing. And one of the things we're going to be doing is that we're going to be having a $50 note, I think it is, that
Yes.
we're going to be asking ECCB to print, and Grenadians can have that. It's like a souvenir now. Grenadians at home and the diaspora can buy it and keep it as a memory of our country and their love for their country and all of that. Sounds good, right? But as I said, you know how many Grenadians want a $50 note right now to get books, go back to school, to get supplies for the children. You're talking about a $50 note as a souvenir, right? And you're going to spend $2.5 million on that. So the opposition leader, I believe it was first, to raise the subject of why would you want to spend $2.5 million on a note that is not, the Prime Minister responded. And the response is what concerned me even more, because it appears that there was not an actual financial assessment of this thing or some financial projection. And he said, well, it's like you're talking and you're thinking at the same time. That's how I felt, right? I could only say what I felt from the response. It came across to me as if he was thinking about the idea and sharing it at the same time, explaining it at the same time. Because he said, we're thinking that this is going to be sold and that we might even make a profit, right? No, that concerns me, because I expect to see here
we might even make a profit.
what I expect to hear in a serious conversation like this is that we are printing 50 notes, we are going to sell them for $100 or $50, and we're going to make X amount of profit out of whatever. That is what I expect to hear. But it sounds like a might, and we hoping, and this is what we're planning. And we had to conclude that it's very difficult to support this, because unless we have, and we were promised at the Finance Committee meeting that we would get a breakdown and explanation, and we went to the Parliament on Friday, whenever last we were there, and there was absolutely no explanation. So I guess it was like, just be quiet, sit down, and just approve it. And unfortunately, we could not support this. We are not saying that we don't support a budget for Grenada's independence celebration, but we're saying, give us something that we can review, we can look at, we can make recommendations, we can suggest. Maybe we can say, instead of spending 2 million on this, spend 5, right? But give us something that we can work with, that we can review, that we can hold a sensible discussion on. And this is why we could not support this. And this is an example. And most of what was presented followed the same fashion. Very little information. Is like just some passing notes, very little information. And the size of this budget, again, was a major concern. You're talking about a supplementary budget that is of a significant figure. And the debate became, as usual, you had a budget like that before. You had a supplementary budget like that before. It is not the first time. And again, I get worried about those kind of responses, because that's, in my opinion, my humblest opinion, that's not the issue. The issue is we are concerned as to why you passed a budget and you are coming now for such a significant amount, just 4 more months remaining in the year. And those are the issues that we raised, responsibly so, that of course, in most cases, we got a sit down and shut up kind of response, which is really unfortunate for a democracy.
Is it that they they can't answer, or they don't know how to answer? Because maybe members of cabinet for themselves don't know. Because I find it very strange that for every single question, instead of providing an explanation, they provide an excuse.
And I don't subscribe to that view, because I think we are responsible enough. We are understanding enough. Even if you come to say, you know what, guys, we're not finished planning this. We're in the process of this. We don't even know what we really want to do with this. You think we won't understand, and we probably would say, okay, let's push back this sit-in for another week, give you enough time to come with a proper explanation. Let me just give one example that was in that same document. The Ministry of Education was asking for some additional resources to repair some schools for the reopening of school. And the explanation said basically that, and I saw that and I flagged that in the budget that was presented. The budget for school repairs, which was on the Ministry of Infrastructure, was moved to Ministry of Education. You know very much so how the bureaucracy of government works, right? And so what would have happened, according to the explanation, is that the Ministry of Works did not, or whoever financed, did not transfer or make what was supposed to happen to facilitate the work that was supposed to be done. So in one of the explanatory notes, it clearly stated that the ministry says they would do better planning for the new year. I could understand that. You admit you didn't plan well. You admit that you made a decision since in December last year and you didn't follow through on the decision to make sure the resources was moved to the relevant ministry. You admit that. I mean, people not beasts. as persons would say. We understand you didn't plan well and you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So we understand now we need to help you and support for you to have these resources to get the schools repaired for students to go back to school, right? But when you come and you tell us $7 million for Independence celebration, a year-long celebration, what is that? How am I supposed to say I support or don't support? I can't. I am confused, as a matter of fact.
Minister, we're quickly running out of time. Any closing statements? I know the nation is locked in and listening. Any closing statements? Well, not any closing statements. We would like to have your closing statement, please.
You need to teach many people how to how to make a speech. I would just want to take this opportunity to say this. Number one, going through the constituency over the past 2 weeks with this particular program that I spoke about earlier, I became very concerned as to the readiness of many parents for the return to school. Up till yesterday, people were telling me they have not received their vouchers. They have not received any assistance. And I know, I don't have to ask. The minute I said what I just said, some persons are saying, well, why they can't help themselves? Well, why did this? And only poor people they're talking about, only vulnerable people they're talking about. And I like to say this, wherever you go in this world, you're going to find them, right? And we have to support them. I have seen firsthand so many people move out of their situation and move up. I've witnessed it firsthand, right? So I don't subscribe to this view that we are trying to keep people in a position for their lives. I've seen firsthand throughout Grenada the number of persons who received support from the previous administration and they were able to make a way for themselves through education, through various programs, you name it, and it has happened. So I am saying that there are still many people. If you have a room of 10 persons or 50 people, let's use that, and 2% of the persons who applied for a program told you that they would have received, then it brings a further, is there a problem? So I'm making this point to say that there are many people throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique who at this point, a few days before returning to school, are still awaiting the promised support as it relates to acquiring supplies and items for preparing their children to go to school. I am hoping, and I have said to those parents, and this is that in the next few days is going to be sorted out. Right? I'm telling you what I said to them genuinely. And I'm still hoping that in the next few days, whatever the problem, it would be sorted out so that these people can get some assistance. I am also hoping that in the next few days that the government would take a policy position to not just provide tuition support for every student who wants to go to TAMCC or NULO, but that they would also go beyond tuition support for those persons who really want to go, but because of the financial situation cannot afford the additional cost of going. Additionally, I want to just encourage all of our students out there to make the best of this new school year, to do your best, focus as much as you can, and do the best you can. And I want to encourage parents to encourage your children, support them in every way that you can. Parents, your role is extremely important in the lives of your children. Speak positive words into them, encourage them, and most of all, depend on God in nurturing and raising your children. Because in this world, parents by themselves cannot do it. I don't care how much resources you have. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I am saying the presence of God in the lives of children is extremely important. So train them and raise them in the way that they should grow. I just want to wish everybody all the best as they prepare to go out this new school term. And I wish everybody involved in the education sector, every single person from the minister come right down to the ancillary staff in every school. I want to wish everybody God's blessing and a very successful school year.
All right. And we'd like to thank you so very much for taking the time to be here with us tonight, Honorable Emlin Pierre. I did say we would speak for roughly an hour, and I got hour and 9 minutes, so I'm feeling good. Hopefully we can have you on, because people like to see you, they like to see Ms. Pierre. So I want to make sure that we have you on via Zoom the next time around.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening with my Zoom tonight, but thank you for able to communicate. That's the most important thing.
Of course. And we'd like to thank you so very much and say a special good night to your family for us as well.
Sure, and good night to all your listeners. God's blessing, and have a very, very, very peaceful night, a peaceful sleep.
All right, thank you. All right, folks, we have been speaking there to the Honorable Emlin Pierre, MP for St. Andrew South East. And of course, and folks, are saying that exactly on the time. Folks, it is 10 o'clock. I've got to be out of here. But just want to say thank you once again to the Honorable Emlin Pierre for taking the time to be here with us tonight and providing clarity on a lot of things that we've been hearing out there. And she provided clarity and factual information in relation to those issues. Yeah? Because again, it's okay. My school fees paid. How do I get to school? If I have to come from Grenville, in Grenville town itself, and come down on a weekly basis, it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. What is being done to assist me in that sense? Yeah, so what the other areas, instead of the window dressing, just to say that we have done this and it's an achievement way, we've done it, but to do it in a way that it is practical, that is realistic, that it is functional, and it actually brings benefits to people instead of just attempting to bring political benefits to yourself. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. In everything you say and do it safe and secure. We'd like to be speaking to you. We'd like to be speaking with you. We definitely, surely, will never like to be speaking about you in the past tense. All right? So enjoy the rest of your night tonight. Indeed, there's a beautiful moon outside. Make sure you take a little moon gaze before you head inside it. We're not seeing a super moon like this one until the year 2037. Those of us that might be lucky enough to make it there, by God's grace, 2037 is the next time we're going to be seeing the moon in the way that we're seeing it tonight. Folks, we are out of here. Hey, and before I go, Lystra, happy birthday to you. I know you might be out hanging out tonight. Lystra Abraham, tonight is your birthday. I can't say belated, it's still your birthday. I get it in. Happy birthday to you, Lystra. I am out. Do enjoy the rest of your night, folks.
The rulers of men are scornful of principles of godliness, wisdom, and freedom. But woe comes safely, man. But woe War comes quickly. Yes, they use and abuse women. They raise no children. They live a life of wicked thoughts, corruption, embarrassment, and shame. So in order to maintain power against the very forces of nature, they need to have the citizens living in fear. Man, but be not afraid, for fear is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid, for war comes suddenly. Nice, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men bound to soon to come to an end. I sing, but mine, godless men who don't care that the devil takes over their kingdom, they would kneel if they feel that they could cross a deal. But woe comes quickly. Man, woe comes quickly. Yeah. Now workers who want to please their employers and their bosses by victimizing their neighbor because today their party is in power. I see, but they know what they do is wrong, and it's weighing their conscience down because all men know that no man knows the hour.